podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
On this week's episode of Bit of an Animal, the Baby Boks draw, the Stormers draw, the Sharks and the Bulls brush aside the Italians, the Lions fall agonizingly short in Dublin, and we look at the SA Cup where the Cheetahs suspiciously get some assistance from the Cheetahs. Let's get stuck in. Welcome back. I've got the full panel in front of me, Bryce, Temikosi, and John. Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening, guys.
Evening, everyone.
All right, Ox. We're going to start with the Stormers game in Dublin. Not Dublin, but Belfast. Belfast, as they are at Ulster hosted them. Bryce, it's very cold here in Cape Town, but not as cold as Jano Trocheagastis' game. God damn.
Yeah, no, it was the battle to look forward to this week. Roos versus Augustus. Unfortunately, I think Roos did disappoint a bit because I thought I don't know if he drank too much or he didn't eat enough, but something just went through his head that now is the time to give up that box jersey. Now is the time to be charitable because some of those penalties and I think it was like when we were just about to score, he created an obstruction. I'm like, what are you doing, man? But anyway, I mean, for the game itself, I think it was encouraging to see them build on that Glasgow performance. It was nice to see them being aggressive. I think they were a bit more improved on attack this time. I thought the linking between Sacha and Gelant was quite good, and I think they gave Sacha a lot more space this time. I think sometimes he does play a bit flat, and now I think there was that one play where he just ran sideways and he did the little dummy and then went through. So it was nice to see a good balance. Again, I don't know what's up with the Storms, but they just can't seem to get this knife in. They can't seem to finish off a game when they have it. Because I think there was that first half towards the end we had them, we were getting through, but then we just leave a door open for Ulster. Where Ulster was, look, credit to Ulster. I think they were magnificent. I think their attack was beautiful to watch. But I think it was also some of our undoing. We could have kicked it a little better. We could have handled the ball. We could have killed the game a little bit more if we held into that lead. But it was good to see. Did we improve with Gelant? I don't know. I don't know if that game is redeemed Gelant or not. I mean, it's one more game to go, but I still think we look a little bit more solid with Willems at 15. No offense to Gelant, I think we do look a bit more solid. And I thought shout out to Khan. I think he did do a lot better than I expected. I thought he was a bit more calm. Could have been a little bit quicker at times, but I thought otherwise he did stamp his authority and combined well with Sacha. So overall, it wasn't. Look, I'm not happy with the draw, but I mean, it was a good performance. I still think we need to be a bit more what shall I say, ruthless when it comes to getting those leads, because we can't be leaving doors open like that against any team. Because if it's a full strength Glasgow away, I wouldn't want to just give away a lead like that. So I don't know how you guys feel. I think it was a good performance, but I think we still leave too many doors open.
John, optimistically, 3 points is better than none. 3 points out of 5. Another game for the Stormers on the road after this week. But yeah, your thoughts on this game?
Look, I think the Stormers are showing a sense of maturity. There's a bit of calm. I think they showed some real fight. If you thinking that one of their most experienced players got crock rolled right in the beginning of the match, went off. Now they're potentially without that experience going forward. There was a sense of maturity, a sense of calm, a sense of we can win. But it's not 100% yet. And I think the biggest thing that the Stormers will need to look at is the two weaknesses that they're still struggling with. One is in defense. They've got a nasty habit of picking up cards in defense and giving penalties in defense. And number two is they make excellent breaks, and then there's no support. Um, so I think those are the two things. We're going into the knockouts. You've got one game, and then maybe a bit of a break. So if you're going to be running a camp or anything, defense is what wins you the title. Setting up that clean defense, and not to be thumping our chests here down south, but I would be watching the Baby Bok tapes. That's how you defend. Like, no offense, go watch those tapes. Go watch those guys. They're doing it right. But I think the Stormers can breathe easy. They're definitely there. It's now about being calm under pressure.
And because the Stormers are still the highest placed South African team. Lions might even get them in the playoffs. Your thoughts on this game away to Ulster?
I think it was a pretty good game. Especially, I think the Stormers actually started really well. It's just like what everyone has been echoing. It's just those silly mistakes. I'm not even gonna mention Royce because we also I think he got baited a little bit easily. I don't know why he allowed, because it was definitely a try. Like, most likely, chances are that was gonna end up in a try anyways. That was unnecessary. So I think it's one of those small little things, like your Halans, everyone, your Zaz switching off here and there, that kind of cost them. It's improvable, but it's a matter of, can we sort it out before the finals? Because it seems like if they're not home, like, I'm just looking at it, like, if we had to project it, if they're not home, I don't see them winning any playoff games. But if they're at home, that gives them a little bit of a chance. But I think Ulster really put up a fight. I think as much as I want to say the Stormers made mistakes there and there, I think Ulster really pushed them to the limit. And if it's that easily for them to get rage bait like that, what happens in a final?
It's also interesting that Ulster had sort of a mixed team, having just come from a Challenge Cup knockout game. So they shuffled their team a little bit, probably due to injuries and stuff. So they didn't necessarily have the quote unquote first team on paper, but they had a few really good performances. I mean, the South African players stood up in Werner Koch and John Otrokis. And overall, I think their bench made a bit more of an impact. I think that obviously hurt the Stormers' game plan with the captain getting hurt so soon, and early in the season, the Stormers using the two lock system of putting two locks on the bench and just swapping up both locks, and that helping quite a bit towards the end. But yeah, it's weird that, just like from a neutral perspective, Ulster are um, maybe not gonna make the playoffs. Some South African team might see them later on as well. But they're a solid team. I'll give it that. I mean, they progressed a lot better than last season. And obviously, the last thing we'll talk about before we move on to the Lions game is that Mchunu had a solid game. I mean, this fantastic sort of slow-mo video of him on social media brushing Jack Murphy aside and going into contact. So good for him. I mean, he's developed quite nicely. And when he departed the Sharks, I had hoped that it would be a springboard for him to like revive his career, because I mean, he's still quite young, but it did stagnate to a certain degree. So yeah, it his scrummaging is improved a little, because he was very sort of inconsistent with scrummaging in his last season at the Sharks. Actually regressed a little in that respect. So new environment, and yeah, we're happy for him. Yeah, Timikusi, we'll stick with you. We'll go forward now to your game away. So we're starting with two South African away teams. Your game away to table topping, well, not quite at top, but like basically like favorites for the tournament, Leinster. You look really good for most of the game, and then the last 10 minutes just didn't quite have that composure at the end, and the Leinster quality push shone through. But still, I'd say moral victory for the Lions. Just a bit concerned that they didn't actually pick up any log points.
I think it would have been better if we at least got 1 or at least 2 points. But yeah, I guess it was just one of those games where the ball seems not to bounce your way. And this goes like the referee decision wise also. I just felt like for the most part, we had them that game. It seemed like it was a really competitive game up until the last quarter where Leicester just kind of took it away. And maybe had some of the decisions, maybe if that Mahaja try was to stand, maybe we could have done some sort of comeback. And it was a weird call, come to think about it now, considering that the Stormers, Nathan Doak did the same thing to Iman Khan, but I think it wasn't penalized in the Stormers games. It was just, I think somehow Stormers got penalized anyway because I think it was a knock on. But yeah, gutted to be honest. I expected at least some sort of points from that game, but Leicester were kind of brilliant at the end there. Their bench kind of took the game away from us. Osborne was brilliant. Not gonna mention Prendergast. He seemed like he was playing football. Maybe we should address that at some point. But hey, maybe he should go to Barcelona. I think he would be a great player for Barcelona, something like. But yeah, good game though.
Maybe it fit in better at Real Madrid considering the chaos going on over there. We haven't spoken anything about football. We're like 20 minutes into the podcast. Shout out to Sibusiso, who's probably still celebrating Arsenal's win against West Ham. Jean, your Gauteng neighbors are plugging along quite well. Your thoughts on the Jacques Nidaba defense? Because Sibusiso was saying they were offside.
Look, who was it in the group chat that asked, "Damn, is this what it's like to play against the Boks?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's what it's like to play against the Boks. It's like a brick wall." And when it's the green and gold, we're all like, "Yeah, like." Then when we're playing against, like, this is shit. Stop. Yeah, look, it's very difficult, and I think in a sense you have to acknowledge that the Leinster team, um, I think, besides the weird, you can go about the rules all day long and the officiating all day long. I think the Leinster team realized the danger that the Lions team can pose on attack. And if we look at where the Lions are most dangerous, it's always in broken play, it's off the counter attack, it's if you give them a kicking game, if you hand them any of that, the Lions will teach you a big lesson. So I think the Leinster game plan was take all of that away from them. If they've got no platform, they they they're standing on sand, they've got no foundation, they're in dangerous and deep waters. And just credit to the ref, Holly Davidson, for calling out Sam Prendergast for stuff that belongs in UEFA. So please take your Emmy award, get back to UEFA, Prendergast. That doesn't belong here. It's in the Hall of Fame now. It's along with the deadly attack on Nick White's mustache in what was it, 2021. Faf de Klerk murdered his mustache for a yellow card. So yeah, no, I feel for the Lions, but you're gonna come up against champion teams, and I think I don't mean it in a rude way, but rather get the loss now than in 2 weeks' time. So they'll realize, listen, if the game plan isn't working, we need to switch things up.
Losing Ron Venter so early, that also hurts them. But then Pato Klekani actually made a huge impact, even though he had to come off the bench quite early. Your thoughts, Bryce?
I was pleasantly surprised with that Lions game. I thought that was a much changed from the previous Lions teams. I thought they were kind of almost. If I felt like there was two teams that were quite equal for like 70 minutes, and I thought the Leinster were throwing wave after wave of attack, and Lions were defending like demons. And then on the other side, Leinster also defending well. And I think it's good in a way that they did. Not to say that the Lions, it's good that they lose, but I mean it's a good game for the Lions to see. Okay, this is a world-class defense they're coming up against. You can't just run through them. You can't just throw bodies and then hope to get over. Because I mean, I think by the end of that series, I think the Lions were done. They were finished because they were throwing everything on attack and they just couldn't get through. And I think there's one area that they probably got beat quite heavily, which is the air. I thought without dominating the air, they just couldn't get broken field because Leinster were very tactical in making sure that their wingers were near first choice. So it was a lesson in the air, but hopefully the Lions don't take this game in the sense that they won't be able to beat these top. I think they can beat these top teams. They just need to probably get better in the air and find a way find a way to beat Jacques' defense because you have to if you can't go through Jacques' defense, then you're gonna have to hope that I don't know the Bulls or whoever it does line up with Leinster beats them because it was becoming hopeless at some point that they just couldn't break through that defense. So yeah, hopefully. Look. I mean, now I know how it feels to play against, Jacques. It's awful. Now I know why, Ian Foster made those comments because it's terrible for the game. How do you play against that? I mean, yeah, it's
So there is like tactics against it, and I mean Leinster have lost 6 games in the league this season, nothing in EPCR tournaments. But I think they were just on song in this game, playing at home, and yeah, everything sort of fell into place. Not to say that they're not a good setup. We move now on to Pretoria, where Jean's Bulls, um, a third game in a row where they just brushed aside the opposition, but this time at home. Nice conditions, Jean. Yeah, thanks for proving me right. It's like the whole week I was telling people they're going to score 50 points and they're going to get the 5 log points.
Yeah, very happy with the game. I don't think there was anyone specifically doubting that the Bulls would get the win, but I think getting the 5 log points really helped the situation. With the final 8 spots really being up for contention, going the distance really helped. And I think also just the rotation, the slight bit of rotation, giving Andre Pollard, even though he was on the bench, not sending him onto the field, giving not sending him on till the 70 something minute. So I really think it was nice. It's not the most physical games right now, so you get to rest your squad. The only real negative, and I'm echoing Coach Ackerman here, is that Cheswell Jooste got injured. That's about the only negative. Um, but we'll wait for an update on that. But yeah, happy with the team, happy with the performance, and it's nice to settle into a rhythm. I'm just hoping we can keep this rhythm going, um, not just the next round, but when the quarterfinals and the semifinals come round. Um, but I think the team is in a very good place. And even if it doesn't click this season, I think going into next season, the Bulls are going to be a team to watch.
Yeah, very good performance. I mean, they're doing what they need to do. So we move swiftly along now because we don't have a lot of time to the team that's not in any contention at all. The expensively assembled Sharks decided to play a good game of rugby with nothing to play for at home against Italia Benetton. In the preview Friday show, I wasn't sure how to interpret this game. I was very confident about the Bulls result, but with the Sharks result, Benetton having a smattering of international players, neither team having anything to play for, and Benetton having defeated Leinster, no less, in Italy 2 weeks ago. But unfortunately, the Benetton players showed up and they seemed extremely disinterested, including Menicello and Marion and well, the scrum half, he seemed a little upset with his teammates for not necessarily defending that well. But from a Sharks perspective, on the Friday show, we sort of broke down the pros and cons of playing a young 18-year-old in Siaya at fly half, and I did have some concerns about his size, but he's quite big for an 18-year-old, and maybe his defensive structure and stuff like that. But all my concerns fell to the wayside. But we do have to keep it in context. It wasn't necessarily like the best team. They weren't starting Siaya away to Munster. They were starting him at home to a Benetton team who were disinterested. But you have to play what's in front of you, and he had a fantastic game. Extremely good. He tried to vary his game plan a lot. So he didn't just get the ball and then just run at the defense. Although when he did do that, he seemed to at least beat three players on average. But then he tried to kick for the corner. It didn't always work out. He's kicking from the tee because the Sharks scored 4 tries in the first half. And then he missed 3 and Bradley Davis missed 1. But in tighter games, we're going to need better kicking. And we've seen younger players struggle with kicking early on in their career. Yeah, overall, awesome performance for the 11,803 people who showed up. The crowd seemed to really be enjoying themselves. It's 23 degrees Celsius in Durban in the dead of winter in South Africa, because they don't have winter in Durban seemingly, but it's also good conditions. This time of the year is the best time to play rugby in Durban because the humidity is so low, and the humidity is something that can really sort of throw teams off, including the Sharks. I don't know how they haven't adapted to this, because that's where they train in January, February, March, maybe December, that type of thing. So yeah, overall, like lots of positives from the game. Siya Kolisi played maybe his second last game for the Sharks. He scored a try. The both front rows really pushed down the Italians. Jaco Williams played really well from fullback. He's shown at wing, but struggled a little at fullback against the Bulls in Pretoria. Like I said, that's like a hostile environment. He got injured quite early. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing the Sharks sort of blood in a few more young players like Vusi Moyo and well, Chilimia is now leaving for the Bulls. In the sort of in the Currie Cup arena. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then next week the Bulls play Zebre. No, the Bulls play Benetton, and then the Sharks play Zebre. So expect more of the same next week. Before we move on to the Baby Boks, guys, I'm just going to remind everybody that you're watching the Global Gainline's YouTube channel. And on this channel, we have a lot of other really good podcasts. There's the Irish podcast, Interpro Show. There's the French podcast, Top 14 Digest, and a whole range of other podcasts. So yeah, check those out as well. Not this Bit of an Animal. And by the way, Bit of an Animal is the only one that most weeks goes two days a week, Mondays and Fridays. Bryce, the Baby Boks won the Under-20 Rugby Championship in a draw because we brushed aside Australia and Argentina in such convincing fashion. Everybody was telling me, oh, it's going to be more the same against New Zealand, and I was not buying it.
Well, I was buying it, and then unfortunately, they didn't deliver. Um, I don't know what to say about this game. It was like I think it was good that New Zealand did put up a good fight, and credit to I don't know what is his first name, but I know his last name is Muliaina. At 10, I think he played magnificently. He kicked so well. He controlled that game. I thought that was a very good performance. It helped keep New Zealand out of the red zone and put them in the right areas. It's a pity that the goal kicker couldn't kick so well, because I thought if they had gone 21, what was it, 21-5 or 21-7 up, it would have been a very would have been a very nervous game from the box. But from the box side, it was nice that they recovered and they stamped the authority towards the end of the half and in the beginning of the second half. But then after that bonus point try, it was almost like now we have to, like, take our foot off the pedal. Let's because I don't know where the errors just started creeping in. We couldn't, every time we did a line out move, we did that same play where the hooker breaks off and then we get isolated turnover. And we did that a couple of times, and then New Zealand all of a sudden gets within 7 points, and then they're drawing, and then all of a sudden Williane gets a kick to win it, and then he misses it. So I mean, but maybe it would have been better if we lost this, and then a fire up our backside. Now we can't be complacent like Kevin Foot always says every week. But overall, from the tournament side, I was thoroughly impressed with this team. I am a bit disappointed for Ethan Adams. Hopefully, it's not too bad. I don't know what the injury was. I didn't see anything yet, but hopefully it's not too bad. But it's a bit unfortunate. We probably might lose just Ethan Adams. Hopefully Marcus Muller's finger comes back. But overall, it's looking good from the Baby Boks. It's a much. They look much better in this rugby challenge than they did in the last rugby championship. So hopefully, if we do the same, then the Junior World Cup will be even better than last time. If it can be even better than last time.
Yeah, to go back to back would be really nice because I mean New Zealand have done that, England have done that, and France have done that. So we've yet to do that. Last time we won, well, we won it last year, and then 12 years before that when I happened to be in the stands. Demi Corsi, you're obviously sort of praying to the gods that Ethan Adams makes a full recovery. SA Rugby magazine says it's a 4 to 6 week changeover, so he'll play the Junior World Cup. He might miss some of the warm-up games and then straight into your soon-to-be Currie Cup Championship team.
Hopefully, hopefully. But yeah, it was like tournament wise. I think the Baby Boks came into this game thinking that they already won because I think they just needed 1 point to actually seal the deal. And I think maybe that's why the performance was kind of like that because for the most part, New Zealand was kind of giving it to them. They were hanging on, trying to fight back, but New Zealand, I think they started off better, and that maybe put a little bit pressure on the Baby Boks because you even saw with the last decision, when it's the last minute and you get the ball and you just want to kick it out, meaning you're tired of this game, you're fed up, they've been pushing you all day, and you just want to go home. So I felt like for them, they came into the game thinking that we probably already win this. We just need to win this one match, and it's the baby All Blacks. It's probably not going to be that bad. So I think that's why they kind of struggled throughout the game. But shout out to the All Blacks, though. It was nice to see. I think it was a good, maybe the same thing that kind of applies for the Lions, that it's nice for them to lose now and still win the championship so they can actually reflect when they're going into the Junior World Cup that, okay, if we take our foot off the pedal a little bit, these teams are actually going to come for us. It's not like we're going to run through the way we demolished Australia and Argentina. So it's a good win for them. I mean, it's a good win for the tournament. It's a good thing that, especially because we hosted it twice in a row. Imagine if we lost it also. Like we hosted it twice and couldn't even win one. That would have been somewhat shameful. But yeah, we got it. Now, if we could also defend the Junior World Cup, that would be great.
Yeah, so this is the third edition of this tournament. New Zealand have won the last two, and like Tim, because he says the last year's one was also in Gqeberha. Jean, yeah, this is our sixth competitive game, Jean. We played a warm-up game in Georgia, two games, official games against the Georgia under-20s, and then Australia, Argentina, and now New Zealand. Yeah, what are the lessons learned?
I think the guys are a little bit tired, eh?
Mm.
If I'm to be honest, I think the match fatigue is starting to set in. Like you say, it's 6 matches in. Um, if you're picking up a niggle in the third game, the niggle might be okay, but by the end of the fifth game, start of the sixth game, it's really eating at you. Um, and I think it's just general fatigue. The guys maybe just need 2 weeks to sort of deload their bodies a bit, recover, focus on just stretching and basic strength work and things like that. Um, and especially at the high-paced game they play. If you look at attack, I'm amazed at how they switch from defense to attack and how suddenly the tempo gets even faster. And massive credit to Kevin Foote there for not only getting the team to, because you can see it's almost like a switch. The whole team as one realize, okay, we've got the ball, we're on attack, let's go. But the pace with which they do it and the way they attack, they step it up. They go faster um, than you think they could or should go. And I think that just also eats into it over time. for New Zealand, I would say New Zealand's walking away with a big fat smile because they punched well above their weight in this match. If you look at the previous two matches, I think the under 20s massively underperformed. It didn't look like a cohesive team. It looked like we've got two or three really solid players and we'll stack a team of competent guys around them, but there's no sort of cohesion, there's no sort of spiritness of together. Um, so I think this was by far and away their best match, and maybe they're peaking now, sort of end of the rugby championship. Um, Maybe not peaking, but they're starting to pick up form now, where Kevin Foot, rightfully, wrongfully, I think rightfully, played a lot of warm-up matches, got the guys in a mindset, got them in a groove and everything, and now it's just about staying there. Um, but yeah, I'm happy with the maturity in the team. They stayed in contest, kept fighting, and they had that one carry, and I think after that they realized, listen, we're gonna get turned over here again. And I give credit there to Vusi Moyo just calling out the ball and saying, no guys, we've won the tournament. Let's take the draw. Losing a battle but winning the war is what leaders do. So credit to him for maturity and being calm under pressure because New Zealand played an excellent kicking game. It was one of the few things that they really got right against us. Time and time again, they were happy to just kick it. We would kick back and they would kick back, and you would see Vusi Moyo catching the ball, looking, and he's like, there's nowhere to kick it. The whole backfield is covered. I have to kick it out. I have to concede 20 meters, 30 meters, 40 meters. And I think it really bothered him. And in that final minute, he realized that we can't kick on these guys. We can't punch through these guys. They're going to turn us over. They're going to get the ball. They're going to do something, kick out, take the match away from them. So credit to the maturity in the team for staying calm. And I think if the guys get a good rest, get to sort everything out, then we're in with a very, very good shot of defending that World Champs title.
Yeah. It's almost like I'm kind of happy we didn't go 3 games just brushing teams aside. There's only so much you can learn from that. I mean, like we had apparently, I didn't watch the Georgia games, but according to the reports and what Kevin Foot said in the press conferences, was very physical, but the scoreline wasn't huge, but it was mostly in the Baby Boks favor. So yeah, the Baby Blacks, pretty good team, maybe not as good as they used to be. Their vintage and quick Google search indicates that Mika Muliaina is actually All Blacks legend Mils Muliaina's nephew, not son. So not that anybody said it was son, but they just thought because of the same last name and sort of same letter, the first name, we could maybe assume that they were related, but yeah, it's his nephew. Guys, we're going to quickly move on to the SA Cup, where the Cheetahs somehow got the request to agree to send a rotated team to Bloemfontein, suspiciously. But yeah, they saved their bacon. And that means that the Griquas, who really didn't need to win that game, so maybe they rotated to rest their players up for the playoffs, could have actually gone the whole regular season unbeaten. Very, very good Griquas team. I mean, they were fortunate to have any major injuries throughout the regular season, but still like well assembled, good balance of youth and experience in that team. It's almost well, not quite URC, but I mean, this request team is literally better than Zebre Palmer. The Pumas, very similar to the request. Like you have to give credit to the way they assemble a team with minimal or restricted funding and stuff like that. So I mean, they tend to like recruit players from the Varsity Cup who then hang out at the Pumas for 1 or 2 seasons, play well, learn their game, develop as players, and then move on. Like Sago Kamlash is now recently announced as being signed with the Bulls. So there's that aspect. And then the Cheetahs ended third on the log. If I can just do this. Okay. Cheetahs ended third on the log thanks to that victory against the Griquas Cheetahs with 6 wins and 2 losses throughout the season, 1 draw. And then the Boland Cavaliers and Southwestern District Eagles who played on Saturday, basically it was not, they weren't playing each other, but they were playing respective opponents. It was basically a shootout between the two of them, and they ended on the same amount of points. You kind of feel for the Southwestern District Eagles. There's like an argument to say, like, let's just put them in the Currie Cup Premier Division, because the top 4 teams here go into the SA Cup playoffs, but they also go into the Currie Cup Premier Division alongside the other 4 URC franchises. So that means we look ahead to the fixture tab, and then on Friday night when we will be recording our bit of an animal preview show, it will be Pumas hosting the Cheetahs in Mbombela Stadium in Mpumalanga province. And then on Saturday, it's the big one. This should be very competitive with table-topping Griquas versus Boland Cavaliers. Jean, we'll go quickly to you first. Your thoughts on these two fixtures?
Tough game for the Cheetahs, fighting for contention, and I know they've now narrowly uh, narrowly made the cut. But I think if they in any way, shape, or form drop the tempo now, it would be a shame. But definitely a very very tough game. I know, like you said, Erling Pumas um, come from a pretty small town in Bombela. Um, Stadium's not going to be very full, but vocal crowd. And I come from Mbombela, and the temperature swings there are crazy. So 6 o'clock at night, it's easily 10 degrees, 8 degrees, winds blowing a bit. Definitely uncomfortable. Going to take you a moment or two to get settled in. Um, Cavaliers versus Griquas now. That's prime time. I think that's the one, your eyes have to be watering at that one. These are two teams really duking it out for the top spot. And I think that's going to be some great rugby to watch.
All right. Interesting feedback I got because I looked at the teams for the SA Cup throughout the 9 regular season rounds. I didn't see a lot of players from the Boland Cavaliers that we saw in that very good performance of them in the Currie Cup. And then we got some feedback earlier today saying that the Cavaliers were just somewhat unlucky in terms of injuries to key players. And I knew going into this SA Cup that they wouldn't have access to all of the sevens players who played so well in the Currie Cup. So well done to them, nonetheless, for actually making the playoffs. I'll get the predictions now from Steve Jobs. I mean, Tembinkosi. Your thoughts on these two fixtures?
I'm thinking that Rico has probably talked to the Cheetahs in mind with this game in hand. They're tracking like, if you take care of the Pumas for us, we'll give you that win so you can qualify for the Currie Cup. Probably that's what they were talking about. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tough match. Like, even though I think that Griquas and Boland one would be much more interesting to watch in terms of play, I think the Pumas and the Cheetahs one is going to be a tough match for them, especially for the Cheetahs, because they seem like they're in a club in decline in terms of, I want to say, prestige, in terms of their name. Because if you look at every team that's kind of on this fixture list, Cheetahs is kind of like the top brand. But just by looking at their play in the recent couple of years, Griquas and Pumas are doing way much better. So it's going to be an interesting match for them to even see if they can actually survive. Because I think this is like what, their 4th or 5th year in this tournament. They actually haven't even won it, and the only 2 people that have won it is the Pumas and Griquas. So Cheetahs need to kind of come up and, I don't know, maybe justify why they deserve to be in Europe while the other teams are here.
Yeah, I mean, like, we almost have to do the thing of like, if a non-URC union wins the Currie Cup, they get to play the Challenge Cup. Bryce, your thoughts on these two fixtures?
Based on that Cheetah's performance against the rotated Griquas, you have to say this is a rematch of like that Currie Cup final of years ago. Griquas versus Pumas. I'm echoing what Tim Inkosi said. I mean, what was those stories on socials with Cheetahs negotiating to be the next URC franchise? It's like you can't be negotiating and then you scraping against Southwest District Eagles to get into Currie Cup. I mean, Like then we're like, what are you doing? I mean, so it's disappointing. I mean, like personally, I would love to see Griquas in Europe. I mean, imagine like a French club flying into Kimberley to play on that service. I mean, that would be beautiful, man. I mean, to see Griquas tear apart some of those teams that haven't faced a pitch like that, it would
We would finally get an answer to the ever-present question of can DuPont do it on a dusty pitch in the Vrystaat?
exactly, yeah, and for all we know, Griquas could win the Challenge Cup and then go to Champions Cup, Then we will see DuPont at in Kimberley. I don't know where they would stay though. I mean, are there good hotels in Kimberley or what? I mean, or they just
Probably
gonna
at
fly
the
from
Royal
There's to be some school.
Yeah, we did some work sort of like on the Namibian border. And then driving back, myself, Sven, and Ezra were driving on the 4x4 back, and we had to stop off at Kimberley on the way back to Cape Town. And then one of my sort of indelible uh, memories in life were this was 2011. Um, uh, indelible memories in life is Ezra asking Sven, like, hey, shouldn't we phone ahead to the place they normally book it, right? And then Sven saying, oh, don't worry, they'll have place. And then when we get there, they were like, we're fully booked. And Ezra being like really upset with Sven. So I've been to Kimberley only that one time. It seemed nice. We had to stay at like the F1 hotel, unfortunately, not sort of like the lodge that we wanted to stay at. But yeah, I actually wanted to visit the stadium. There wasn't a game on, but I wanted to visit the stadium while we were there, but unfortunately we couldn't. So on that note, gentlemen, fantastic episode. We stayed within time limits. If you're wondering about the previews, we don't do the previews on Mondays anymore. Tune into the Friday game, to the Friday episode. Yeah, for myself, Bryce, Tim Nkosi, and Jean, until Friday, in Rasi, we trust.